So did you think that that was not going to play up at any point in this screening?
I have never thought about that. I have always known that as a nation we've not reached a point where merit will undermine this mediocrity and partisanship. I have never believed that we've reached there as a nation. If we have started, that's fine. Fine and good for all of us. But we've not reached a point, because this is a country where we don't have national consciousness. It is in a country where national consciousness is part and parcel of our lives that you will see individuals now saying, for the sake of Nigeria, like in America and other countries. But we've not reached that point.
I like some of the things you're advocating. You want a more structured Senate screening process. You're talking about how, you know, if they had an idea, for instance, some of the portfolios that these people were going to represent,
yes.
Looking at their resumes, they could be a little more thorough with some of the questions that they're asking them, and, you know, especially with the expertise that they are bringing on board. But how much of a role do you really see the Senate playing in terms of helping to get ministerial nominees? Do they really have that much of a bearing?
I'm sure you are aware of the Section 4 of the Constitution, which empowers the legislative powers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you know, shall rest on the National Assembly consisting of the Senate and the House of Representatives. So, the difference between military and democratic government is simply the existence of the legislature. So that underscores the power of the National Assembly, Senate in this case. So, if the Senate says that, look, we decline to confirm these people are nominees, they can only become ministers by the confirmation of the Senate. So that means...
Wait, if you say they decline to confirm, is that what you say?
They have a right to decline.
But if they decline, doesn't our law say, if they decline, after a while, the president can go ahead and announce them as ministers after all?
Then what is the essence of sending them, you know, to the Senate for screening?
No, is it not the same thing as a bill in the National Assembly?
No,
if a bill is sent to the president,
before that assent, before the president, by the time the president declines his assent, he must definitely communicate to the National Assembly those areas. And if there is no harmony between the two, that is the executive and the legislature, and within the lapse of 30 days, you know, it could be deemed to have been. It becomes a law.
You know, I was thinking of a template, asking if they had a template for asking such questions, and it would seem as if they were not fair and objective in the line of questioning. For others, you could see a kind of zigzag, a potpourri of issues, questions coming from different sectors. And for some others, like General Dambazo, they just restricted it to security matters, as if they have some kind of pre-knowledge of where he's going to be fixed. What stops the man from being asked questions on education and national planning?
Well, the issue is that if you also listen to Dambazo's presentation, he raised one fundamental issue, that he wants to see not a regime military, that he wants to see a national military. Meaning that, to a discerning mind, what he's saying is that what we've been having military, which of course is polarized, you know, within tenure and terms and all of that. And I expected a follow-up. What about his template? I expected his follow-up. A couple of days ago, I watched on the television when the former president, Obasanjo, came with some gentlemen from security experts from Colombia, you know, to come and discuss on the issues of how they cope with the insurgency after 50 years. That was a window. So immediately he came up with that. Is it possible that the insurgency and security flashes we are having in this country may have been occasioned by the absence of national security? Because what he inferred there is that we're having regime security. That means after the tenure of Buhari, another government will come in. Then we are going to have another picture of security. So a follow-up question would have gone to throw up the issue, being a security expert. And because we have lost so much as a nation as a result of lack of security consciousness by the citizens, and of course the way government, as a matter of fact, have mismanaged the strategic importance of the security. Yeah.
Okay, let me bring you back to the point I was trying to make earlier on. I've seen the section I was looking for, which we looked at some time ago. Section 147. 147.1 says, there shall be such offices of ministers of the government of the Federation as may be established by the President. It then goes on to sub 6 and says, an appointment to any of the offices aforesaid shall be deemed to have been made where no return has been received from the Senate within 21 working days of the receipt of nomination by the Senate.
No return. What is
from the Senate?
By under the Interpretation Act, that no return, what will you consider to be no return?
So what if you say, if they decline and says, well, no, you don't pass?
That may not be no return.
Well, if they say a senator, sorry.
By the time they decline the confirmation, they will not just say confirmation decline. They will state the reasons.Maybe there are certain things the presidency, the executive, may not even consider by the time they nominated a particular person. So in the course of the screening, if they realize that this particular person, is not a proper person to be nominated as a minister of the Federal Republic. It may be an issue bordering on constitution, maybe an issue bordering on national security.
Do they have the powers to even screen nominees?
No, insofar as the appointment or the nomination of the ministers or ministerial nominees from each of the states of the Federation is a constitutional issue. So it goes to mean, therefore, that the custodian of the Constitution, as a matter of fact, because it's a law, is the National Assembly, which I cited that section of the Constitution for you. So they are obliged by the law to do what they're doing.
I thought just to nominate, if you have any issue, then you can now say, we have this issue against you, but not to go through a screening process, because it doesn't look like they have that power going into the Constitution.
The word screening, I think that's what you're having problem with. The word screening is just an issue of semantics. Because you may say you want to do a background search. You may want to say you want to do due diligence. You may use any word you want to.
Which might not necessarily mean that they will have to come before the Senate.
No, it may need to, because there is this issue in law, the issue of fair hearing. If I have anything against you, you are under the law obliged to be heard. So if you don't appear before the Senate, how will you be able to look at the issue of the fair?
So what are you looking forward to seeing today?
Between business as usual and
business unusual.
Unusual.
Well, I want
business to see, unusual.
I strictly want to see the Senate taking a notch, beyond what they did yesterday. What they did yesterday, it was okay. It was a good beginning, and the Senate President also showed a good grasp of a good manager of an intriguing setup like that. And it was orderly, procedurally, it was orderly, not something where partisanship were thrown to the roof, or some people brought partisanship with their trumpets and all of that. So that showed some level of decency. But now I want to see the institutionalization of our readiness and willingness to move this country forward, to create the change we all desire. And on the part of Nigerian citizens, I was a little bit not surprised though when some people were talking about one of the ladies, Aja Mohammed, that she's not from Kaduna, she's married in Kaduna and all of that. And I don't know, we should also be able to move away from there, because I thought they want to bring up something fundamental, something that would be able to enrich governance, enrich conversations.
Yeah.
But the other issue of saying from here and from there, you know, is strange to me.
Thank you very much indeed, Honorable Asema Ibo, former chairman, House Committee on Media and Information. So we'll find out if it's going to be business as usual or business unusual. Well, we'll be back in a moment. Don't go away.